If you're a resident and you find yourself in the middle of an emergency and you live in the Tampa area, how is the best way to handle it? I'm Steve Rosenberg with Mind Property Management. Today I'm joined with Brian Waters, who is the portfolio manager here in the Tampa area. So Brian, if I live in a property, whether it's a Mind property or any other property, and I'm a resident, how is the best way to handle and deal with an emergency?
Yeah, definitely. Great question. Being prepared obviously is key, right? Hopefully when you start a lease and you move into a brand new property for the first time living there, I would say the number one thing is get prepared, right? Understand exactly what's in the property, where's what, where's your nearest exit, where's your nearest shut off, how do you turn a shut off, right? How do you do these things and just kind of walk and make yourself comfortable with the property. Hopefully your owner and landlord is doing that with you. Hopefully they give you the right phone numbers that you can either put on your fridge or put in your phone so you store and you have it, so therefore you are prepared. But really kind of being prepared for an emergency before the emergency happens is key. And again, just walking the property, knowing what this valve is, knowing what this breaker does, knowing what everything in your house does. Because sometimes you're in a situation and you're like, I don't even know where my breaker box is. How do I check to see if my electricity's out here? So just understanding everything it is about your home is a great way to start.
Yeah. Also, I would say, as a resident, really understanding what is the definition of an emergency, because there is a legal definition of what an emergency is. And there's also an emergency definition in the lease agreement that you sign probably. And you want to make sure you understand what is that definition. And so that they understand that maybe a light bulb out is maybe not an emergency. And so you want to make sure you understand what that is. But if you find yourself in an emergency and pretty much a fire or flood is definitely an emergency, how do you get out of the property? So if you live in a multi-family property complex, apartment complex, make sure you know where the exits are. Make sure you know how to egress and get out of the property and where the safest location is so that you can get out and get out safely. Because in an emergency, the thing that is most paramount is your safety. So as a resident, we want to make sure you are safe and you are secure and you can get out of there. The other things, as sad as they may be, they can be replaced, which is another conversation about insurance and making sure where your documentation is. Do you have any thoughts on that, of where to store information now that we're talking about insurance?
Storing information, being prepared, put it in a file so you have hard copies. Everyone has a smartphone these days, right? Take pictures of things so you have it on your pictures. Save contact information so it's in your phone. Just being over prepared is the best way to be prepared for an emergency, right? So therefore, hopefully it never happens, but then you are good to go. And kind of going back to what you were saying, like in case there is a pipe that burst and first thing is emergency, let's get out. But there's things, if you are familiar with the house, is there a shut off to the house that I can turn the water off, save my personal property? And I know a lot of people are probably thinking as a tenant, man, I just bought this brand new TV and the house is flooding. I got to get it out of there. Well, being prepared beforehand, right? Having renter's insurance, protecting your personal property, man, it's a great way to just be like, you know what? It's an emergency. I need to get out, the safety of me and my family. But you know what? My personal property is covered because I got the responsible things of renter's insurance to cover any sort of personal belongings that could get damaged in an emergency.
Yeah, that is great information. Something else to think about that you may want to think of is, as a resident, you'd mentioned saving stuff to your phone, because you may not be able to get into your property. If it's flooded, if it's on fire, something happens, you may not get access to the property. And if it's only in a filing cabinet and it's not on your smartphone or in a cloud, that could be bad. The other thing would be is, I would say, save those numbers like, poison control, CDC, 911, local hospital. Maybe save those in your phone so that you have them, so that if you're in an emergency and you're not in the property and you can't get to them, that's when you want to make sure that you can get the phone number as quickly as possible. Because in a fire, you don't want to be going through a filing cabinet to figure out what number you need to call. You want to be able to have that access. Nope. Any other things you can think of that is good to know? I mean, this is great information.
Again, just being comfortable, being prepared, is the biggest thing that's going to help ease you and kind of, make you relax through an emergency, right? So if you have an emergency and you start panicking and things are just getting worse, that's when it's really going to be bad. So, calm down, relax. Things are going to be okay. Make sure you and your family are safe. But then again, going back to the property, knowing where your water shutoff valve is, knowing where your breaker boxes are, knowing where all these key things are to really save yourself, your family, the property for the owner is very important.
That's great. That's great. Good information. Well, Brian, thank you for your time. And for those of you watching, if you'd like to know more about our rental properties and all the properties we have in the Tampa area, as well as the other 16 regions across the country, go to our website, mynd.co, MYND.co. And there you can find all the information along with other useful tips and information as a resident that will help you. So on behalf of Brian, myself, and Mynd Property Management, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you'd like to keep the conversation going, join our Facebook group.